So here we are for the fourth lesson of this week. I hope that you are enjoying online teaching and learning. This would be new experience for you. I know that, and there are some problems since you are new to this online learning process. My dear students, so today we are going to talk about conditional sentences and past perfect tense. So these are the two topics we need to give significance, importance, because they appear in exam most often and they carry many marks. So without wasting much time, I would like to tell you today's objective. The first objective is to talk about and discuss and nourish my students to see what are conditional sentences. Here in your book there is a exercise E. If you can look at the end of your exercise of chapter number 6, complete the following conditionals. My dear students, I try my level best to talk about all the conditional sentences while going for only one being mentioned on your book in exercise number E. Then there's exercise F. Write the 10 sentences using the past perfect tense. Later part of this presentation, I'm going to talk about past perfect tense. I hope that you will recap your knowledge of past perfect tense, since we have done with this tense before the vacations or holidays, before exams. So my dear students, are you ready? So here we are. First of all, I'm going to give a brief introduction of conditional sentences and past perfect tense here and on this page. My dear students, here in this exercise there is a third conditional sentence. If you had studied hard, if you had come to me, if I had seen him, there is a third conditional sentence. I will talk to you on third conditional sentence, but before going actually to the third conditional sentence, I would like to tell you what is conditional sentence, what is zero condition, and the other conditional sentences. And then past perfect tense. Past perfect tense, as you know, as you have comprehended this particular type of tense. To understand the third conditional sentence, I'm going to move on to the next slide, that is the conditional sentences. My dear students, what do you understand by conditional sentence? Conditional sentence are like normal sentences, maybe or maybe not. My dear students, conditional sentence are a little bit different from normal affirmative sentences. As you can see, there is a different structure. You will see later part of this presentation. So conditional sentences are all about action and outcomes. This particular two concepts, action and outcome, you need to understand this. For example, you must have heard about the Newton's law of action and reaction. What happened in this law? For example, if you hit something, there is a reaction. So this is the concept in which we use conditional sentence. So this is conditioning. If you have something, if you do something, there is a reaction. So this is conditional sentence. There are two clauses. The first one is called if clause and the second one is called independent clause. Later I'll discuss it thoroughly, but before that there is an example. There is a puppy in front of you. For example, his owner is saying to him, sit down dog, I'll give you a cookie. So he's saying to him, if you sit down, I'll give you a cookie. So there is a condition. If the dog sits down, he will get the cookie. So this is conditioning and conditional sentences. Now we are going to move forward to the next slide, that is actual types of conditional sentences. First type is called zero condition, and it is called zero conditional sentence. What it does, it expresses the general truth. For example, if something happens, the reaction has to happen. I mean, there is no loophole that reaction could not take place. The reaction would take place. If something happens, the other has to happen. So this is a real life situation. You can say this is universal truth. If something happened, the other has to happen. For example, there is an example in front of you. If you do not brush your teeth, you get cavities. It cannot happen that you do not brush your teeth and you do not get cavities. It can never be happen. So if you do not brush your teeth, you surely get cavities. So this is universal truth. If the certain action is being committed by you, the reaction is necessary. The second example is when people smoke cigarette, their health suffers. This is universal truth. When people smokes, their health suffers. So this is conditioning and this is zero conditioning. Both the parts, there are two sentences in front of you. There are two clauses actually. If you do not brush your teeth, you get cavities. So there are two clauses and both have action and reactions, and if something happens, the other has to happen. But it wouldn't be other way around. You get cavities if you do not brush teeth. You get cavities by committing other things as well. But if you do not brush your teeth, you get cavities. That is definitely going to happen. So it has a structure. This structure will tell you, and you will remember. If you will remember this structure, it will be easy for you. In zero conditions, in both parts, if clause, this clause, and independent clause, this clause, both the clauses must have present indefinite tense. So this is your zero conditional sentence. Both the sentences, both the clauses must have present indefinite tense, because it is universal truth. If certain actions has taken place, the other has to happen. So this is action reaction like type of sentence. The next one is first conditional sentence. The situation may differ in first conditional sentence. In the zero condition, if something happens, the other has to happen, but the situation in first condition is little bit different. How? If something happens, the reaction may or may not happen. It can happen or it cannot happen, because it expresses situation in which the outcome is likely to happen. It can be happen, it cannot be happen. For example, if you rest, you will feel better. Now you cannot give guarantee if you rest you will feel better. In certain situations, if you rest, specifically in your exam days, you excuse me everyone, if you rest you will feel better. So if you are resting in the days of exam, my dear students, you are not going to feel better. You will upload certain anxieties in your brain. So it depends, and it happens in first conditional sentence. If something happens, the reaction may or may not happen. It is conditional, first conditional sentence. For example, if you set your mind to a goal, you will eventually achieve it. If you set your mind to a goal, you will eventually achieve it. There are many goals we set in our life, but hardly we achieve some. So our goal may be to, for the boys specifically, my goal is to score 100 runs in next match, but there's not 100% chances that you are going to score 100 runs. For the girls, for example, you're going to speak on Parents' Day. You're not going definitely for 100% your success rate. I mean, you are purposefully making your goals that I'm going to speak like this, but it is no guarantee. There is no guarantee that the way you plan and the way you implement it, there would always be loopholes between that. So if you set some goals, you will eventually achieve it. Sometimes you achieve it, sometimes you do not achieve it. So the structure is a little bit different over here. The structure of if clause is different, and the independent clause is different. First condition in in first conditional sentence, the if clause is in present indefinite tense, and the independent clause is in future indefinite tense. So as you are watching it on your screen, if you rest, this is present indefinite tense, you will feel better. This is future indefinite tense. Moving forward to the second condition sentence. Now, the first two conditional sentences are related to present. Now, this second and the upcoming third conditional are all about the past events. Now, if we talk about second condition, it talks about what? It talks about wishing and outcomes. For example, you sometimes wish, if I worked hard, I could do wonders. Now, this is wishing, and the outcome would also be in the past. There is no chances of getting in the present. So the second conditional sentence is all about wishing about the past. If you could do like this, if you did something in the way, you could achieve your goals. So this is what in the second conditional sentences are. And there is another element to be noticed in this second conditional sentence, that is unrealistic outcome. Now, for example, if I inherited $1 billion, I would travel to the moon. This is obviously a wishing. This is also definitely a wish. If I inherited $1 billion, this is a wish. I would travel to moon. But you see, this part of the sentence, I would travel to the moon, this is unrealistic outcome. If we can say, if I inherited $1 billion, I could not go to the moon. So this is unrealistic outcome. So in second condition, the outcomes are usually unrealistic. If you can look at the structure of second condition sentence, it has definitely if clause and independent clause. In if clause, you have to use past indefinite tense, and in the independent clause, you have to use modal verb. Now, modal verbs are, if you can look back in your chapters, let me find it out. The concept of modal verbs are there in second chapter, page number 18, exercise of chapter number 2 on page number 18. There's a concept of modal verbs. The modal verbs are very important in the second condition sentence. You have to use modal auxiliaries in independent clause of second condition sentence plus main verb first form. Now, since you are using past tense in the if clause, you have to use the past in the second clause, in the independent clause as well. So modal verb, for example, can. You cannot use can. You have to use the second form of the can, the past form of the can, that is could. You cannot use will and shall. You have to use would, the past form of will and shall. So similarly, you have to use the second form of the modal auxiliaries, and the main verb would be in the first form. For example, if I inherited $1 billion, that is past indefinite tense, I would. So instead of will and shall, he used I would travel. So this is the first form, travel. This is the main verb, and would is the modal auxiliary, and we have used second form of the verb. Similarly, in the second sentence, if I owned a zoo, this is past indefinite tense, and this is if clause. And I might let people interact with animals more. So this has might instead of may. We have second form of may, that is might, past form, and then let is the first form we have used in the second condition. So this is the explanation of second conditional sentence. Moving forward to the actual part, that is third conditional, we have seen in our exercise of chapter number 6. Third conditional sentences also talk about past, but its outcome could go into present. So here we can use third conditional sentences are used to explain the present circumstances would be different if something different had happened in the past. So if you had done something different in the past, the outcome may be different today. For example, there are some wise students sitting on the back benches. They sometimes talk to themselves, like if I had worked hard, I would have achieved first position in the class. So this is something, if you had done something different in the past, the outcome of that action would be different today. So this is third conditional sentence. So what you have seen, there is a different parameter over here. What is this? That is past perfect tense and a different structure over here. If we look at the structure of third conditional sentence, we have definitely if clause and independent clause. If clause should and must have past perfect tense in third conditional sentence. And if we talk about independent clauses, must have a modal verb and past form of modal verb, as we are watching it on our screens, would. So would be used as a modal verb, as a modal auxiliary verb, and we have to add another word, that is have, in third conditional sentence. Plus have and plus. Since we are using have, so have must have a third form of the verb. So this is the structure of third conditional sentence. If we can go to the examples again, if you had told me you needed a ride, that is past perfect tense. If you had told me you needed a ride, I would modal auxiliary past form, have, we have used have, left, the third form of leave is left. And if we can go to the second example, if I had cleaned the house, past perfect tense in the if clause, I could have gone to the movies. Could, the second and the past form of can. I could have gone, third form of the verb of go, the third form of go is gone. So here we have used third form of the verb. So I hope now you have a clear understanding of conditional sentence. If we can go back to the first page, complete the following conditionals. What we are going to do, what we need to do over here, if you had studied hard. Now this is the if clause. You have to add independent clause. You have to put comma over here, and you have to write the second clause over here, the independent clause. You have to use modal verb, the past form of modal verb, plus have, plus main verb, and main verb, third form of the verb. So you will add, for example, if you had studied hard, comma, you would have achieved the success you aim for. And if we can go to second sentence, if you had come to me, comma, I would have given you some money. So would plus have plus third form of the verb. If I had seen him, comma, I could have seen my youth. So could have seen my youth. So could, a past form of the verb, of the auxiliary verb, plus have plus verb, third form of the verb. So this is the structure, this is the possible explanation of conditional sentence. I hope now you have understood all the conditional sentence. My dear students, it will help you in two ways. How it appears in the exam. First, in MCQs, the examiner give you a question, a sentence, for example, like this: if I had cleaned the house, I could have gone to the movies. This is the sentence. This could be the sentence in your upcoming exam, board exam. The examiner will ask you by giving four options: either it's first condition, zero condition, second condition, or third condition. So you have to select the possible correct option. So that is the third condition, and this could be the way examiner can check your knowledge of conditional sentence. And the second thing is he can give you in shape of suitable verbs. 5-mark question of suitable verbs. After change of voice question, there is a question of suitable verbs. For example, examiner will give you: if I inherited $1 billion, I would travel to the moon. Now here the examiner will underline this word and ask you and use first word inherit, and ask you to use the correct form of the verb. So you have to use the past indefinite tense over if I inherited $1 billion. You have to use the correct form of the verb. So this could be the way. This could be the way to ask a question. I can give you another example. For example, examiner can ask you: if you do not brush your teeth, you get cavities. Yeah. If she does not brush her teeth, she dash cavity. He will underline this word get. What you need to do, you have to use present indefinite tense over here as well and over here as well. So she must have a singular verb plus s or es, so it will become she gets cavities. So this is how an examiner could ask you these questions. If we can move forward to the next part of the presentation, that is past perfect tense. Actually, in the school, DHS Senior School for boys, and I hope in DHS Senior School for girls as well, before exam we have done with this past perfect tense translation and possible explanation how to change it from English language to Urdu language and Urdu language to English language. But here I am going to quickly give you a brief and concise explanation of past perfect tense. Past perfect tense usually talks about completeness. Completeness of what? Completeness of an action, but the time would remain the past. My dear students usually struggle between sentence and tense. Sentence usually refers to the combination of words, and tense refers to time. So in past perfect tense there is a completion of task and the time would be the past. So this is past perfect tense. I here mention the structure, how you need to translate into English language. This is the structure of simple sentence. You have to use subject plus had plus verb third form plus object. For example, I had seen you, that is subject, had, verb third form and object. So in negative sentence we have to put not. Interrogative sentence we have to use this had before the subject, so it will become had I. Instead of I had, it will become had I, and seen you before and at the end there will be a question mark. In double interrogative there is always a problem here. WH words, subject and had. What students usually do, WH words plus subject. Why Ali? And then they put had. I'm sorry. What they usually do, they put WH words first and then they use subject. Why Ali? And then they put had. Why Ali had? It's a wrong approach. You have to use why, how, when, had Ali. When, had Ali. So this is the right approach. So, and then verb third form and then object. For example, why had I seen you before? So there is a WH word, then had, then I. So my dear students, there are a homework I'm going to give you. You have to do what? You have to do, first of all, write tense and tenses over here of past perfect tense, and after this you need to go forward to this slide and try your level best to translate into English language. It is also mentioned in your grammar and composition book. You can translate from there as well by following the structure of past perfect tense. So this is it from the lesson number 4. I hope everything is clear to you. If there are certain questions, if there are certain confusions about conditionals, about tense, past perfect tense, you can email me at my email address shahzadnabi09@gmail.com. I try my level best to answer your all queries. Thank you very much, everyone.